welcome, welcome, welcome to the Pixelated Sausage Show. Hi, how are y'all doing? Hopefully, well, I am, of course, your host, Mark Kuznez, and like a broken record these past few episodes, I don't have that much to talk about. I've been keeping busy, doing a lot of attack the backlog, second runs, last call. What's the last call? New show. Animezingly Baka, brainstorming, but getting things done on all that front and just getting into that workflow stage of being not productive is not what I want to say, but getting into that rhythm of creation where everything is kind of just going according to plan in a way of wording it a little bit, but getting to a point where everything is just going along as it should, and then my mind is free to not think about any of that stuff because it's just clockwork. But some news did happen. I just perused my RSS reader to refresh my memory. BioWare seems basically dead. I think they took 50% of the staff and moved them to other projects. And while initially those were thought to be temporary roles, those are all permanent roles, I believe. And that puts the BioWare staff now, who is still working on Mass Effect 5, presumably, at less than 100. And to me, that just says that game's never coming out. Mass Effect 5 is never coming out, and BioWare is basically dead. It's sad, given their legacy, though at the same time, like with many of these studios that gave us great games in the past, a Rocksteady, a BioWare, I don't know who else comes to mind, but those studios, I'm not exactly 343, but they're not exactly the same studio they were when those games you remember came out. People have either left for other creative purposes, for other fields. Maybe they retired, did this or that, went on to create their own studio, wanted to move off of this familiar IP and try something new, so on and so forth. And so while it is sad to see BioWare where it is currently at, it's not so unfamiliar these days. A lot of shake-up things going on at EA. Need for Speed is on hold. I think we all expected that. But what racing thing does EA have at this point? Just EA WRC? Is that what it's called? I don't even know what it's called anymore. But what the dirt game turned into. No more Need for Speed at the moment. Haven't even bothered with Burnout. Maybe try that, Need for Speed. Or EA is what I mean to say. Of course, Skate is still supposedly. I don't even see the point of that. I feel like you've lost all your goodwill with that game at this point, and what do you expect from it? That can't be anything other than a failure. Because me, a humongous skate fan, by far my favorite skateboarding franchise, and I was so excited when we first got the announcement of the return. I don't care anymore. I don't. If it ever comes out for real, I'll probably check it out, but I just don't care. No. And then they were talking about Apex Legends, and first thing, definitely not doing any kind of 2.0 or any sequels thing going on. And then just a few days ago or so, talking about how, we got some big update plans for the future because we don't know what to do with this game. So that is kind of interesting to see what they do, but the writing has been on the wall with that game for a while in the way they've supported it all these years. I don't know if they can do anything to bring back a large portion of the community or that's a pretty good Star Wars show, and bring in a bunch of new players. It'd be nice to see it, but who's to say? And then going back to my crap, I was thinking about Animezingly Baka and how to make a return and make it something that I could do weekly and be excited about it and have something always to talk about. And considering making it more than just an anime podcast and having that be what makes it so stupid, other than my presence on it being stupid, of course, but having it be Animezingly Baka, podcast all about anime and movies and TV and maybe some manga too, where it's just the home of all quote unquote entertainment stuff. So it'd be where I talk about the movies I'm watching, any shows I'm watching, the Clone Wars that I'm currently going through, Acolyte, which I just finished, as well as Blu-ray news that excites me and I'm always happy to talk about, but definitely would not bother boring the shit out of y'all on this here show. So when new Blu-ray are announced or something gets a UHD announcement or whatever, I'm always up on all of that. I'm staying very in the know with that kind of crap, but I don't really have anywhere to talk about that shit. And I don't even know if that's a good idea. But that was a thing I was thinking about with Animezingly Baka. And then just doing the streaming crap as usual. Have some games to talk about, which I'll get to pretty shortly. But it's been a busy start of the year. And I am in need of a break. One of the things I need to be better about is actually taking a break on the weekend. I schedule everything out so that the weekend is free for me to do whatever I want, and what do I end up doing? I'm just like, I'm just gonna work through the weekend, or I'm still gonna stream some garbage because it's just, what else is there to do? I can't just sit and relax. I am so bad at it. That is one of the things I am worse at, is just turning my brain off and sitting with a movie or something along those lines. Always multitasking, always looking at ways I can be the most productive at multiple things at multiple times all the time. It's just, I need to fucking turn off the brain. I don't know how to do it though. But for this week, the games I have to talk about include Sniper Elite Resistance, Big Helmet Heroes, Ender Magnolia, Bloom in the Mist, and Techno Banter. So I want to start things off. Also, rewind that. Love feedback about the Animezingly Baka idea. I know Sunny's excited, but basically Sunny would be excited about anything that could potentially bring back Animezingly Baka. But I think it might be an alright idea. I created a new thumbnail layout for Animezingly Baka if I do that, with some crisscross so that there'd be 4 sections to put different pictures in, that you can have, here's one anime, here's the Clone Wars, here's this other crap, so that they would look like that. I'll probably post that in the Discord. I don't know. I think I'm going to keep the Pixelated Sausage thumbnails the same, but I might return Attack the Backlog to the way... Well, no, not with the numbers. It works how it is. So that'll probably stay as well. It's all a work in progress. Very, very busy nonsense. But for what I've been playing. So Sniper Elite Resistance. Sniper Elite Resistance just came out. And I got a code for it. And I played through the first 3 missions, which are lengthy, except for the first one. The first one's a smaller area, but after that, it opens up and you have these large, openish areas to explore. And levels will probably take anywhere between an hour and a half. Even longer, maybe if you really want to get in depth and explore all of it. But the thing about Sniper Resistance, and what makes it hard to talk about in any kind of real way, is that it's just Sniper Elite Resistance. It's just more Sniper Elite. I am not someone who's played all the games really in depth to their completion, but I've played all of them to some extent, and I like them, and I would like to play one or multiple of them for Attack the Backlog at some point. But for the purposes of here and now with Sniper Elite Resistance, which I should just call Resistance, I don't need to say the whole damn title. But with Resistance, it's just more of the same. You're going on these missions in these open areas. You have some objectives to do, and there's plenty of sniping, of course. And when you snipe someone and you get a good shot, it does the whole slow-mo X-ray cam thing where you get to see your bullet impact, whether it's in the eye, through the brain, through the heart, through the lung, through the groin, up their butt. Whatever it is, you get to see it in slow motion as often as you like, or you can skip it if you get tired of it. And that's something that's always amusing, and I never skip it. It never gets old for me. But outside of that, it's just more of the same. It does feel, I never really put these together before, but it does feel very Hitman-esque in the way levels work and the way they are laid out. However, it is much more limited, so it feels like a Hitman level where you are more restricted than you are in an actual Hitman level. For instance, in the 3rd level, I was going into this Nazi headquarters building, and I could climb outside and climb in through some windows, but there are only very select windows and areas I can climb. And once I shimmied past the one open window, I just couldn't shimmy along the edge anymore. Even though it's the same exact edge, there's nothing different about it. It's just that the game is telling me there's nothing over there. We don't have any more open windows. There's just this one open window. That's it. So either go in that open window or go in the other open window or go back down to the ground level. And that kind of breaks the illusion, which isn't that bad, but it does make it so that you realize there is a limitation on what you really can do and how you can handle any situation. And that's, a bit disappointing. They do have the invasion system, which they introduced in Sniper Elite 5 here as well, where it's on by default. And what it means is that at any point during your playthrough of a level, another human could invade your game as an enemy sniper, and then it becomes this game of cat and mouse. And when that happens, the telephones that are scattered around the level become active, and you can use those to get hints as to where enemy sniper is. If you use those enough times, then your location will be pinged for them. And it is kind of interesting. No, it's not kind of interesting. It is. It's a cool system. However, I don't think it should be on by default. I guess the reason why it's on by default is because if it's not, there's a good chance that people will never turn it on. They won't even remember it's there. But I think what most people, if not all people, should do is first play through the campaign with it off to at least familiarize yourself with each level to some extent so that you know the general layout and have an understanding of each level so that when this happens to you, you can think about where the enemy sniper might be hiding, where they might be, and so on and so forth. And you're not trying to get through a level for the first time, learn the environment, figure out what you have to do while also having to deal with this other human who may have done what I just said and knows every nook and cranny and just destroys you. So that is a cool system. Gunplay feels all right, looks pretty good, and it's an all right time. It's more Sniper Elite. I have never played these games co-op, but I think that is where they would shine for me because they just feel like fun little playgrounds to mess around in. And I think if you have another person there, one, you can do a bit of distraction, taking out type of play where one person draws the attention of a Nazi and then you take them down while they're distracted, as one does. But ultimately, it's just more Sniper Elite. And that's either a good thing or a bad thing in your book. I would say, though, if you've never played a Sniper Elite game and you're kind of curious, one, it is on Game Pass, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But regardless, if you've never played a Sniper Elite game, there is no reason to pick this over at least 5. But even earlier ones, I would just suggest going and picking up one of the earlier games when they go on sale. They go on sale quite a bit. A lot of Sniper games out there. Sniper Contracts games also go on sale. But they go on sale fairly often. And it'd be better to just pick up one of those games first and then Resistance. But if you're just a Sniper Elite fan looking for more Sniper Elite, it'll do you good. One thing though, new main character, and I don't like the way they look. It bugs me that all the other options for your character in terms of customization and changing who you are, they don't unlock until you complete the campaign. So there are maybe 8 or so additional characters that you can play as, somewhere between 6 and 8. And I like every single one of them more than your stupid fucking character and his dumb face. And I wish I could change that right away. Or at least unlock new characters after each level completion. But it's a solid game. I wish that the setting trap button on a unconscious, I don't know if you can set a trap on an unconscious body or just a dead body. But I can't remember the exact button input for it. But every time when I would want to, it's either picking up a body or either searching them, I'd accidentally booby trap a body here and there. And that was a little bit annoying. And then I once forgot I did it and there was a giant explosion. I was like, what the fuck happened? Oh, that booby trap actually worked. So there's a reason to booby trap, but you know, maybe I don't want to all the time. Game. That is Sniper Elite Resistance. Next is Big Helmet Heroes, which is my favorite game of the year so far. So January is behind us. We got a full month into this year, and so far, Big Helmet Heroes is my favorite game. I played it for maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it is a side-scrolling, essentially isometric 2.5D-ish, little colorful, cute beat 'em up that has a lot of the same charm that Mini Ninjas had back in the day. If you remember that game from the 360 era, I love Mini Ninjas. I thought it was so cute and cute and fun and simple, and I liked it. It was a nice simple time, and that's how this one is as well. It has a very, very colorful, vibrant aesthetic. Good looking game, surprisingly to me. And it plays well. It feels good, very responsive. You have a large cast of playable characters of various knights who differ in playstyle from fast to being in that mid range. Some lumbering ones, and they all have unique special abilities. Like the main one you have to start with, their special is calling in a herd of sheep that will just trample every enemy in their path. Then another one can shoot this laser beam that is very powerful and makes them invulnerable while they're doing it. You have a knight who can turn into a giant version of himself, very Ant-Man-esque, and so on and so forth. And you unlock these new characters over each level. You'll typically, through the main path, come across one of them, and then there'll be additional one that you can find if you go a little bit off the path. And it just has traditional beat 'em up gameplay, but it just feels good. It looks good. It's got a charming sense of humor, a very large assortment of weapons you can pick up that are often very cheeky. Of a squeaky hammer, you've got a marshmallow on a stick, you've got these uh, it's just cheeky and cute and fun, and I liked it, and I want to play more of it, and I recommend it. I didn't have any issues in terms of performance or stuff like that. The only thing that occasionally happened would be the screen would lock in place and you have to take on waves of enemies, and then sometime an enemy would be off screen and I don't know, they'd get stuck on something off screen and it would take them a little while to finally find their way through all that crap and get there so that I could take them down and continue progressing. But outside of that, every now and again, I had a good time with it. I was thinking about the weapons. I'm like, maybe not. They're not all super cheeky. And this was had that little brain fart. I'm like, okay, well, there's a crossbow, but that's just a basic crossbow. And then you have this dragon gun that shoots explosives at enemies. Not that cheeky. And then you got some magey sticks and whatnot. Like, what? Maybe they're not all that cheap, but there's a wide variety of stuff. I feel like there was something else, like a giant chicken bone or something. But it's just a very vibrant art style that is very inviting and very kid friendly. I don't think it was secretly violent, but it's just it's nice and it played well, and it felt good. It didn't feel super basic either. Bosses were whatever. It seemed like with some of the bigger enemies too, which is maybe a little weird thing where when they first show up, attacks just don't register against them, and it takes a little while for the game to say, okay, they are officially here and ready to take your beating. I'm sorry it took us a little longer than expected, but hopefully this is fine for you. And you're like, okay, all right. That's Big Helmet Heroes. Next is Ender Magnolia, Bloom in the Mist. This is a Metroidvania, Souls-ish like in some ways, except not really. It just felt like it wanted to be Souls-like, where when you go to a save point, enemies will respawn, but there is no penalty to death. So when you die, you don't drop all your XP or anything like that, which does take away some of the risk reward of that type of style, which it just felt weird that wasn't there. But I played it for about 3 hours. Looks great. It's a sequel to Ender Lilies, I think it was, which I maybe played a little bit of. And this is where you are in this world. You don't really remember who you are, what you are, but you are presumably an attuner. And then there are all these souls that need attuning, I guess, that have been taken in by darkness. But the basic gameplay involves traditional 2D side-scrolling action, bit of platforming, and your Metrovania stuff of tasks being locked, and then you get an ability or you get a key card that opens up an area that is otherwise closed off to you initially, getting new abilities that allow you to access things like passing the ground, where you can now do a little ground pound and open up a pathway that was blocked before. It's a kind of cool system where you have 4 ability slots and you tie these different, what were they called? I forget. Your homunculi, I believe, and you tie them to these various inputs, and then your attacks are all based on them. So you have this lady homunculi who will do your basic attack, and then you can upgrade it or unlock variations of it so that you have a scythe or a sword. You have one dude who becomes your ranged attack. It could be just basic shooting that has somewhat of an auto aim, or this large area effect type of drill tornado thing. And then this owl that you can just call in and they just hang out and then occasionally shoot. I don't know what the fuck the point of that thing is. It seems like there's no reason to not have it active. I don't know what having it active does negatively. That owl, I was just like, what is the fucking point of this thing? And then another one who does sort of just a heavy punch or other heavy attacks. It plays well. The level design and all that is good so far. And the story is kind of interesting. But for whatever reason, it just didn't get its hooks in me. I played it. I was having an alright time with it, but I just wasn't captivated by it. I wasn't drawn to keep playing. I think it is more just a time and place thing. Because again, not bad. Nothing about it I would say is bad. And I got to a boss that I died a bunch of times on, and it was more so just my own frustration. Because it wasn't complicated. It was just being patient and paying attention to its patterns. It had 3 different waves of patterns of adjusting how it attacked me. And it wasn't difficult. It was just me being frustrated because I wasn't really feeling the game. And it's no fault of the game because it's not bad. It's just something about it. It didn't have that special something that drew me in. And so maybe I'll go back to it some other time. Maybe I'll check out the first game first, because I do like doing that with any franchise, any series, is playing the games in order. So we'll see. That is Ender Magnolia. If you're a fan of Metroidvania games, definitely worth checking out. It's been well received, so there's a high likelihood you'll enjoy it. And again, I did not enjoy it. I just wasn't so enjoying it that I wanted to keep playing it. But then the last one is Techno Banter, which is an interesting type of Papers, Please mixed with, I don't know what, small open world exploration story, weird situation thing where you play a bouncer in this very techno-y, vibrant-y type of world, cyberpunk aesthetic. And it starts off where you are at this high-rise working as a bodyguard for this rich and famous dude who's a kind of a dickhead, and you've got a plan. You've got an idea to make him a bunch of money, maybe get out from being just a bodyguard, becoming a partner or something like that. And the party, one, gets crashed by these dudes that fuck things up. And then the boss does not like your plan, and you end up getting fired because you let these people in that you shouldn't have. You didn't actually let them in. They came in on their own accord. They broke in. And you then are thrown down into the slums where you have to take over your original job at this basic ass bar. And what a large part of the gameplay consists of is standing at the line as the bouncer and deciding who comes into the club and who doesn't. You have a list of red flags of things you don't accept. You don't want anyone who's a solicitor, no one selling their shit. You don't want somebody that's too drunk to buy shit. There's gonna maybe sour the party. No one who is angry, violent, so on and so forth. Some pretty basic stuff. And then you just talk to these people who want to get in, observe them, and get a gauge of their vibe, and then decide if they can come in or not. And if you say no to someone, then it not introduces, but you engage in this type of word battle where they have a health bar and they will fire an insult at you, for example. And then you have to retort, and if you don't retort fast enough, it won't be as effective. But you pick something in a selection of different comebacks, and if you pick a good one, it'll do some damage, have some nice, cool effects to be associated with it, some visual effects that would not be good for people who may be prone to seizures, I'll say that. But that aspect of the game is kind of interesting. I've only played through the first night. I played about 2 hours. And in addition to that side of things, there is some exploring this singular block. There's additional areas to seaside. There are people to talk to, and after the first night, you're given the ability to hand off flyers so that you can, before getting to your job and doing the whole line thing, you can find people on the street who may look like they have money to spend, or they're gonna make the party a better time because they just have that vibe, and you can invite them to the party, have them skip the line process, and they might not even do the line process or join the club if not for the invite, the flyer. And there are side missions to do, these various subplots that are kind of potentially interesting. There's some weird stuff going on with you. After the first night, I had this kind of dream thing where I was on a train and I just had to slice everyone. There's some weird stuff going on that could become interesting threads or could become annoying, tedious things that I don't care about and don't want to deal with, that just muddy the story and the game and drag certain things out, which is something I'm a little bit concerned about. And then also with the bouncing side of things, the paper please aspect of the game, where you are going through having these dialogues, observing people to get a gauge of them, and then deciding whether or not they go in or not. And the battles become more complicated depending on who you're dealing with and how they respond to your denial, where you might have more of a intricate word battle system where you utilize a skill like manipulation. Depending, you have these various skills that work better on people of certain emotional states and so on. But my biggest concern right now is that the people in line, at least in that first night, and it could just be because it's that first night and they want to help kind of tutorialize it to some extent, it's very black and white in terms of who you should accept and who you should deny. And I'm really hoping that that isn't something that persists, because if there is no gray area, if there is no should I accept this person or shouldn't I? If it's always clear, this is a no, this is a yes, then I'm going to lose interest real fast. That's my main concern. But so far, I'm intrigued. And not just by the basic bouncing gameplay, but also some of these subplots. There's this kind of cult where a person was in like a giant banana suit, something sack, and they want one of the fellow employees because she says she just signed up for, she just made a call, or she signed up for their email newsletter, and now they're obsessed with her. But maybe there's more to that story. I'm kind of curious. And then there are little threads like that could go somewhere or could go nowhere. But then there are also the other things like me slicing up the people on the train where I'm like, what is this? What is the point of this? Why are you making me do this? It's kind of tedious because you're not actually slicing them up by swinging a sword. You are going up to each one, pressing the input, the interact button, and then it gives you the same thing like a dialogue tree of various options, and then you just pick a certain type of slash, and then you do it, and it's just not super tedious because it doesn't take that long to do that, but it's enough where I'm like, how often am I gonna have to do things like this? Because I'm not intrigued by this. I'm not curious about this. I just want this not to happen. I also started off my first day going out naked, curious if I could do that. And the NPCs would respond to the fact that I'm naked, which is nice. But then my fucking boss wouldn't let me work naked, and she made me go back home and put my clothes on. I was like, because you're like a humanoid dog, and you've got a big old hairy dick. So if you're naked, when you look in the mirror at home and you're trying on your outfits, when you're looking at yourself naked, it's a big old dog dick in your face. So if you want that, this is the game for you. But so far, I'm intrigued. I want to play more. I want to see more. So that could be potentially another top game so far of the year. That is again Techno Banter. But that is going to do it for this here episode of Pixelated Sausage Show. Once again, I am Marcus, and as y'all can find me pretty much everywhere at PX Sausage. If you enjoy this here show or any of the stuff I do and what have you, you can support me and my nonsense over at patreon.com/PXS. In addition to the Patreon, you can find links. No. That's not what we do. Patreon.com/PXS. There you can get access to a monthly Q&A, the occasional watch party, some fancy Discord roles, a private Discord channel, and the random drop on the Patreon here or there, depending on your tier. Or you could just support me to support me if that is your fancy. That is again, patreon.com/PXS. I feel like the order should be different. Patreon.com/PXS, where you can get some fancy Discord roles, a private Discord channel. Yeah, maybe I'll start off with the Discord stuff. But regardless, in addition to the Patreon, you can find links to the site, the YouTube, the Discord, the Twitch, and so much more over at pxsausage.com. That is the letter P, the letter X, sausage.com. But that is it. That is all. As always, thank you for watching or listening. I hope you enjoy this here episode, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Well, I hope you have both a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, a lovely rest of your week, and a wonderful weekend. But for now, adios, arrivederci,